He talks a good game. He talks a good game. On the outside, he talks a good game.
Hello, welcome to On the Ed Son. I hope you're all well. I finally got this sorted, I think. Bit of a delay in me coming online, but I think I've got it sorted. Unbelievable. Let me just pop this chat out so I can see and maybe hopefully put this on the screen for you as well. Any chats that come on. Let me just say a quick hi, make sure that comes up. It does. Make sure that comes up on the screen. It does. Hey, we're on fire. We're cooking on gas, as my old mate used to say. Thanks for joining. Thanks for persevering with me, but also with West Ham and everything like that. Things are they okay? We're looking good for the rest of the season or not? We're in the next round of the Cup by hook or by crook. As I said, it doesn't matter how we win as long as we win. We beat Burton Albion. We've got a home game against Brentford in the 5th round of the FA Cup on 7th of March. And just checked on the website. There's no tickets available as yet. A bit surprised, actually. I thought they would have released those tickets straight away. But hopefully I'll get those in. Obsidian Curse, hello there. I love that name, by the way. Great name. Hello. Hope it all is well with you as well. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so they haven't released tickets, but so I'll be interested to see what the ticket prices will be for the 5th round Cup against Brentford. That's going to be a bloody tough game, really tough game, especially if they come out with all guns blazing with their first team as well. I do like their centre forward. Is it Thiago, whatever his name is? Big, strong type. They do like those kind of players, don't they? Brentford this season have been a bit of a revelation, really, under their new manager. He was kind of their second coach, wasn't he, or something like that? I think he was already with them, wasn't he? Anyway, but listen, we got them in the Cup. But I suppose the point of this video, the point of this live show, is to ask you guys, what faith do you have for the rest of the season? Now, this is not just aimed at West Ham fans. This is all fans in general. What hopes do you have for the rest of the season, the remaining games in the season? Can you get to winning ways? Can you sustain winning ways if you're, been winning a lot? Can you tweak things here and there? Can you change formations? Do you need to change? Do you need to sack your manager? We've had a couple of teams who've just sacked their managers. They got these new managers in. We'll have to wait and see how they get on. From a West Ham United fan's point of view, I'm looking at these next games and thinking, we're hopeful we can get something, but nothing is guaranteed here. Let me just look at the table, right? Bring this up for you as well. Obviously, I'm going to go to the foot of the table because guess what? That's where we are, West Ham. We're 3 points adrift from Nottingham Forest and got 12 games to go, right? 12 games to go, 3 games adrift, but it's all bunching up nicely at the bottom of the table, right? That's what we're looking at. And this coming Saturday, West Ham at home to Bournemouth. It is on Sunday, I believe. Forest at home to Liverpool and Spurs at home to Arsenal. So if those results go in our favour, they lose their games, we win our game, we'll be on level points with Forest. We need another game thereafter to win and them to lose, and we'll be out of it, right? So if you think about it from that point of view, there's not much in here, right? But if we look at the fixtures to the end of the season now, right? Okay, outside of the FA Cup, we've got Bournemouth, then Liverpool away, Fulham away, West Ham, obviously Brentford, that's the Cup. West Ham, Man City, tough game. West Ham away to Villa, again, very tough game. West Ham at home to Wolves. Could be a banana skin, depends how they turn up. Obviously, they've got nothing to prove and nothing to gain really, but they could come with the attitude of thinking, hey, we'll give it a go. Let me put that up for you so you can see as well. Crystal Palace away, Everton at home, We got Brentford away, then Arsenal at home, 9th of May. A very special day, the 9th of May, by the way. And Newcastle away on the 17th, and Leeds at home on the 24th of May. I remember years ago when I was a kid, when the season was done and dusted by the first week of May. It was done and dusted. Now it goes to the end of bloody May now, doesn't it? I mean, unbelievable. You know, how are we feeling about this? How are we feeling about this? Let's just have a look at some of these comments just there. He was their goalkeeping coach, I think. Oh, the Brentford manager. Yeah. He came from the point I'm just trying to make. He came from within the ranks. He wasn't brought in from the outside. Yeah, exactly. All set pieces. He was definitely from inside the camp. Afternoon, all injuries dependent. I'm optimistic. Yeah. Thank you, Drainhold Hammers. Look, I think that's a big problem, isn't it? Big problem is something we've all got to acknowledge. If we get injuries, we're probably fucked. Right? Frog and well. Hello. Thank you for joining. Oi. Thanks very much for joining. And if we get injuries, judging by what we saw the other day in the cup tie against Burton Albion, if we're having to make too many changes, we're really going to struggle, right? But let's just take this from where we're good at. Let's just look at the positives of where we're at, where we're playing right now. Areola in goal, and Hermansen to a certain degree, because he's done all right the last couple of games. But certainly Areola, goalkeeping-wise, we're not in a bad position. My choice would be Areola. Maybe other choices would be Hermansen. That's a debate we can have over a couple of pints, and we can argue the toss over that. My favourite would be Areola. I think he's a much better shot stopper. And we don't necessarily have to have playing from the back. And the problem I saw against Burton Albion, we reverted to this playing from the back, and Areola was taking a goal kick, passing it out to left back, right, but to Kilman or to Mavropanos, and then that was either going to the right back or left back, and we were doing nothing with it. And what's all that about? A load of rubbish, right? But I think ultimately he is a better shot stopper. He's ultimately a better goalkeeper. He gives our defence and our midfield more confidence that he's there and he's going to do a job for us. So that back four. Yeah, look, I think we're okay there. Disasi, I think, is impressed a lot of us, hasn't he? Disasi's come in and he's done a job. Yeah, we can get Todibo back in a couple of games' time. We've got a bit of strength in depth there, right? The only problem is what Nuno decides to do with that strength in depth now. Does he say, right, I'm going to play all three of them, or are we going to go to a four? Stick with a four at the back. If he sticks with the four at the back, I think we've got a better plan going forward. And it's a more offensive setup, even from a defensive posture. If that makes sense. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Four at the back, with our keeper, four at the back, I think it sets us up to be better in midfield, to be better, up front, however we want to play that. But if we play three at the back, or as I like to call it, it's not three at the back, it's five at the back. Because ultimately, you play three at the back, what that does is they sit deep, and then that just pulls our midfield back into a defensive lineup as well, and that invites pressure onto us. So effectively, your right wing back, your left wing back effectively become the five. It's not a three, it's a five. And then we're struggling in terms of going forward. Case in point, exactly what we've had in the game against Burton. In fact, it was terrible the way we were playing, right? So, but in terms of that, let's play forward the back and the defence, we're not as bad as I thought we once were. Todibo came on really well. Red card, hopefully coming through. Mavropanos is doing all right. He's holding up his end of the bargain. Let's put it that way. He's doing what he should be doing. And I much prefer our goalkeepers and our central defensive players to be no-nonsense players. I don't necessarily want them to have great ball skills or, that kind of stuff. I want them to be just stop goals going in, defending. Yeah, defending first and foremost. That's what I wanted them to be. And, in recent weeks, I think, Mavropanos especially, and Todibo as well, and Dizazi, of course. I thought Myers did a great job the other day in terms of just doing that. Just doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah, that's what you're employed to do. Do it. And they did it well. So I'm happy with that. Okay, we've got to look at midfield. Potts is obviously, that's put a spanner in the works. Fernandez is still there. Bowen is still there. Somerville is still there. That's great. That's great. We haven't got any replacements for them. Of what I saw of Le Madrid, in terms of backup for Somerville, no, just not ready, just not enough. And that's against a Burton Albion team, let alone put them against a Premier League team. No. Traore, no. You could see in the second half against Burton Albion, he was starting to have a bit of success, but at the same time, we're talking about that kind of level, right? We're not talking. No, I can't see any gains from having Le Madrid and Traore as starting pair, as it were. It's got to be Somerville and Bowen, and let's just hope none of these players get any injuries. So in midfield with Fernandez, who's going to play alongside him? Souček, Magassa. That's probably your only option now, right? And then it depends. If we're playing 4-4-2, we're playing 5-4-1, are we playing 5-3-2? Whatever Nuno decides to do in the coming weeks, then we've got to look at who's up front. Where Tati and Wilson, pretty much Pablo's out, right? Tati and Wilson. So we've got to see now what Nuno does in terms of, can he go forward or is he going to go backwards? If he goes forward in terms of his tactics, in terms of setting us up to go after teams, then we've got a good chance of getting out of this. Not a given, not set in stone, and we're heavily reliant on other teams losing games, dropping points, and us picking up points. And if we manage to do it at the end of the season, this will be a very, very lucky escape. I'm not even calling it a great escape as everyone would call it. It'd be a lucky escape because we put ourselves in a situation which we didn't need to be in. All right, so this is a Potter legacy, but mostly, you can't really even blame Potter. This is actually mostly a Nuno issue, right? That was caused us to be in this situation and to stay in this position, right? So we'll be very lucky to get out of it. But we have the tools, first team 11, if they're fit, if we play on the front foot, if we play 2 at the front and just have a little bit of success there, if we put pressure on the opposition, we can cause problems, right? And we've got to be able to sustain that all the way through a game. But will he do it? Will he do it? Let's just look. Let's just have a look here. Froggenwell, hello. It's still Nuno's in-game tactics that keep me up at night in the main. Yeah, cold sweats for me. Absolutely, cold sweats. Nuno has Mav, Todibo and Dizazi. He might go back to 3 centre-backs. Hold on, wait a minute. Just bear with me because, right, so Todibo has got another game, right? He's got another game suspension. He's not coming back in the next game because, hold on, how many games has he missed, Todibo? Hold on, let me just go back here. When did he get sent off? He got sent off against Chelsea, didn't he? No, you're right. Because he missed the Burnley game, he missed the Man United game, and he's missed the Burton game, hasn't he? So Todibo's back, right? He's back. Yeah, because you class an FA Cup game as well. That, yeah, they're interchangeable. That's right. Okay, so he's missed 3 games. That's right. So Todibo is back. So exactly, that's it. He might go centre. They might go centre back. Yeah. Josiah Green. Josiah Green Moth. Josiah, I like that name. Yeah. Just thought I'd mention that. Great, well done you for having that name. I think we beat Bournemouth. I think there's a good chance. The issue with Bournemouth, who I really rate their manager, if we had to get rid of Nuno, Iriola, or however you pronounce his name, unfortunately. I thought it would be great for us. The problem they've dipped, because if you start selling your best assets in a competitive season, you're going to struggle. And it's amazing how teams like Brighton and Bournemouth and the like keep on trying to be competitive, considering how small they are and the players that they sell, and they keep on coming through. So he's done fantastic. I think we've got a good chance against Bournemouth. But again, see how we hold up. Yeah, huge games. They're all huge games. Absolutely. But I reckon we need to get an unexpected win. That'd be interesting. Let's just talk about that. Which of these games, let me just bring this back up. Which of these games do you think we can get points in, right? So Bournemouth, do we think we're getting points in there? Possibly. Liverpool, away, Anfield. Oh. Now, Fulham, it's an interesting thing. Who thinks we can get points in Fulham? Well, I don't know. I think Fulham's a tough place to go to. I mean, I'd have to bring up what our last few fixtures away at Fulham. West Ham. Sorry, I'll just go Fulham versus West Ham. Last results. That's what we want, don't we? Right. So history. Head-to-head history. This is what we want, isn't it? Okay, get rid of that. Don't need that. So 23. Yeah, so the last game that we sort of played, we got spanked there 5-0. They beat us there 5-0. Can't remember what the last... Here we go. Right, so Fulham... Last time we were at Fulham, 2024, 1-1. 2023, they beat us 5-0. And last season, they beat us 3-2. So this is the point I'm trying to make. I was listening to one the other day, and they're saying, yeah, we got a great form against Fulham at Craven Cottage, and I'm like going, from memory, I don't think that's true. I don't think we go to Fulham and we've had a good recent history against them, and I think I'm right there. Maybe you can agree or disagree. I think I'm right. You know, we've lost a couple of times, we've maybe drawn a couple of times, but we're not going there and beating Fulham, right? At home, it's different, but going to Fulham is a different thing. So Bournemouth, maybe get a point. Liverpool, that'd be a tough one. Fulham might get a draw. We could get a draw. We could get a win. Of course we could. Right, so what I'm saying is there are no gimmies here at all, right? And there are no gimmies, right? We know that. They're all huge games, I think you've already said, right? Brentford at home. That's going to be a tough one. Let's see how they do. Man City at home, again, very tough game for us. Villa away, depends. A lot of these fixtures... results would depend on what our previous fixtures have been, of course. If we're going front foot, if we're getting results, if we're getting wins, so on and so forth. Then we got Wolves at home. That we should be looking at that as a 3 points. Out of all the games so far before Wolves, that should be the 3-pointer. Palace away, you could be looking at a draw, you know, potentially. If they continue to crumble, then we could be looking at a win. West Ham, Everton. Everton have been doing well this season, right? Under Moyes. They've slipped up a couple of times in recent games. But overall, right now, where are Everton right now? They are 8th. And they've won 2 of the last 6, drawn 3 of the last 6, and they only lost their last outing. So they've done all right. And then we've got Brentford. Let me just put that back up there. Brentford on the 2nd of May. Tough game away at Brentford. Then Arsenal come to town. And then we're away at Newcastle and Leeds, the last game of the season. Look, these are all tough games. These are all tough games. We know they're all tough games. Let's have a look. Ekim, hello there. Wrong one. Where are we? Let me just put you back up there so I can put the data. Yeah, points from Bournemouth, Fulham, and Brentford. How was the question? Well, that's it. That we need to get these. You need to get this. Liverpool unlikely any points with our historical data. I would agree there. If Liverpool are beatable, it's this season not likely. A draw would be a bonus there. 100%. I said this when Liverpool came to us. They are the worst Liverpool side that I have seen in possibly that I've seen. Possibly a few years ago when we played them, and I think it was a draw. But I don't think they were bad that night. When we played them, they were terrible, and we still lost, and we should have won. So when you look at all the games that West Ham have played, Nuno has played, and your managers put you in a situation that he's making wrong decisions, that players are not performing, that the tactics don't work, and the substitutions are not working, and it ends up in a negative result, then you got to look at, well, time and time again, we've got into this situation, right? This is not all Nuno's fault. This is not all the players' fault, because we know we've got an ownership that is a big part of the problem, right? About entertaining new managers, getting new managers in, the way they communicate, the way the club as a whole communicates, not only with us as fans, but also with players or potential players and potential managers, so on and so forth. The way they support the manager, all that sort of stuff. The way they pick the manager in the first place. So we know we've got a problem there, but the point is, once we've got the man in place, the players in place, then they've got to be able to do a job for us. And we've got to look at, do you as a West Ham fan, do you as a football fan, do you believe that your team, your manager, your players are going to be able to step up their performance to get you the results that you need, either to win some silverware, to qualify you for Europe, or to avoid relegation, as West Ham are trying to do this season? You know, where do you sit? Where do you sit with that? Do you think you've got it enough within you? If you're an Arsenal fan, you might bitch and moan left, right, and centre, but the reality is you're still there. You're still in it. You're still in it to win it. Arsenal are still in all four major competitions, right? They're in the League Cup final. They're still in the Champions League. They're still in the FA Cup, and obviously top of the league. So they're still. But you know, you're always going to get Arsenal fans bitching and moaning, saying this is the worst ever, and this and the other. You know, I will say this about FA Cup. You know, I saw a comment the other day. I don't think it was about West Ham. It was about some other team. It actually could have been about Arsenal. It could have been Arsenal. And they were basically saying prioritising the league, prioritising it. Yeah, we've got to when they were I think the discussion was about dropping first team players, playing your second tier. Oh, well, you got to prioritise the league, right? And FA Cup. You know, those. I've got to hold myself a little bit here, right? And let me just give this a little bit of depth so you can understand this, right? Let me calm down, because this sends my blood boiling. Okay. Those fans of whichever team, right, when they say to me, oh, yeah, in those early rounds of a League Cup, FA Cup, whatever. Oh yeah, you got to prioritise the league. You got to, play the, you don't play your first team and all that kind of stuff, right? That annoys the hell out of me, because one, you should always play your best team, whatever possible. You should play your best team. Second of all, whomever you're bringing in as your second tier players should be, and you've got to ensure as the manager that they're going to be able to perform as good as your first team players again in that given fixture, right? But second of all, those same fans who actually say, oh, you've got to prioritise the league, they only say that when you're in the first or second rounds, third rounds. As the competition progresses and your team progresses on, then they start saying, oh yeah, this is the most important, this is the, and then when they go and win something, they're the front and centre cheering how frigging great their team are, that they've just won the FA Cup, or they've just won the League Cup or whatever, right? Whereas, you know, in the previous rounds, especially if they're the fan of a big club or really successful club, or club that's usually at the top of the table, they're the fans that, oh well, it doesn't really matter. It's all about Europe. It's all about the Premier League. And that annoys the crap out of me. That all of a sudden you're belittling the competition in those early rounds. And then also when it comes to those later rounds, when you might still be in it, then you're like, oh yeah, this is so important and everything. Whereas I see it completely differently, in that you should be respecting the competition you're in. You should be going, you should be trying with the best intentions and with your best players to win that game, to stay in that competition. And you should be paying respect to the League Cup, the EFL Cup, Carabao Cup, whatever you want to call it, and the FA Cup, especially for me, the FA Cup, because it means so much to me historically. And that's why. So even if I got our fans and they say, oh, we should be prioritising the league and not the FA Cup, I would be absolutely no. You're wrong. And I will tell you to your face, you're wrong. Because it's just the way I feel. There we go. Sorry, forgot about that. There's no model that runs through the club. Academy players come from a completely different system. We buy with a scattergun approach when in trouble. 100%. I can't remember who it was, which manager it was. When they entered the club, they did a route analysis of the club in the way it was run, and this became like a blueprint for many clubs thereafter, right? It might have been Fergie or it might have been Arsene Wenger. I can't remember, but it's one of those kind of managers, right? They basically went into the club and they basically said, and if you know this, let me know in the comments later or in the chat, of course. But they went into the club and they said that the academy players of all the different levels and all the different age groups have to be playing the same way, with the same mentality and the same sort of coaching as we do in the first team. There has to be consistency right from the lower levels all the way up. Because when we start to promote these players, when they start getting older and they start jumping into the different tiers, they need to be ready in whatever system we're playing. They need to be competent to be able to come into it. That's the basic. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the basic intent of what they were saying. Everything has to be the same. The coaching, the motivation, the nutrition, whatever it is, whatever little markers you're talking about, it has to be the same right through the tiers. So when it comes back up to the first team and we're trying to promote these players, the system, they understand it. They know where we're at. What we've got, you quite rightly said there, that the way we're getting academy players, under 21 players especially, how many players have we got the last few years and they disappear and we've never heard from them again, but they're supposed to be decent players. How many players that we think are top quality in terms of under 21 players, academy players, and they're never a success in the first team, or they're never really given a proper chance, or they're never given a chance to make mistakes, that kind of thing, right? Because they will make mistakes. And the best way to avoid making mistakes from jumping from one level to another is to make sure that you're playing exactly the same way, so that you can slot in and you mentally know, it's muscle memory, you know what your job is, and every other player knows what their job is. It's almost like an Ajax total football from the 70s, right? You can go to any position, you know exactly what you should be doing. Every other player knows what everybody is doing all the time. Total football. But the total football in our sense, or a club modern football, is that your tiers are playing exactly the same way. But that relies upon having having full faith in a manager and longevity in a role to be able to fully implement this, right? But what we've had now for quite a significant amount of time, and in all fairness, it's not just West Ham, most teams are like this, because to achieve this is a very special thing, right? And that's why you've got special managers like Fergie, like Wenger, like Mourinho to a certain degree, like Pep, of course, that can instill this kind of club mentality, and that it transfers and it brings it out into the club, into the first team as well. We've had such a poor run of this, as in many other clubs, that this is why we've got a problem. We've got a problem with recruiting. We've got a problem with strength in depth. So to get to the point of trying to get winning ways on a regular basis, and to keep on winning in those later games or remaining games, it's a very tall ask. It's a tall order, because you're trying to recover. The whole time you're trying to recover. You're trying to grab yourself out of this. You're trying to, claw your way out of this. And it's a very hard thing to do. That's the problem. It's a very, very hard thing to do. And the reason it's a very hard thing to do is because we've put ourselves in there in the first place. Unfortunately, every single fan, West Ham fan, or whether you're a Forest fan or Spurs fan, whether you're a Palace fan, whatever, Leeds fan, you're going to be saying to yourselves, and if you're a fan of another team, more than welcome to leave a comment and all that kind of stuff, and join in the chat. You're more than welcome here, right? You're more than welcome. But you're going to be saying to yourself, every game is a must-win. You can't afford to drop points. And that's how ridiculously tight it is now in the Premier League, that even from the first game of the season, you're pretty much thinking, if we don't win this game, we're already trying to claw our way back. Once you get to 10 games of the season, then you've got a really good marker of where you're at. When you get to Christmas, then you think, oh. So years ago, they used to say, no, the season's not done until February, March. Then it was, I'm talking years and years ago, right? Then you started talking, no, the season's not done. You know where you're at until Christmas, right? Christmas is too late now. Now you need to take, in fact, you're really looking at 5 games. If you look at the pattern of where managers are starting to be sacked, some have been sacked within 3 games, right? The Crystal Palace manager, De Boer, is it Frank or Ronnie? I can never remember which of the two. He got sacked after 3 games, right? But you're looking at clubs thinking, yeah, this isn't quite right. We need to make a change. We're not getting the points that we think we need to do in terms of projection all the way down the road. So if you don't project down the road, if you don't towards the end of the season, if at the start of the season you're not projecting towards the end of the season and saying, do you know what, come March, we're going to be, this is not going to end well for us, right? This is why you're seeing more and more clubs now making earlier decisions. So it's so important to get those early games and get points on the board and get wins and get draws and things like that, but to avoid those defeats. This is for all teams, not just for West Ham, of course. This is for all teams. So as you get, more and deeper into the season, you get to a point where you're sitting mid-table or above, right? That's where you want to be, mid-table or above. You want to be sitting 10th and above, so you can just keep on that momentum just to hold position or to try and build and make a European place, right? And any position above that, your motivation is just to get higher in the league to qualify for Europe or get into the top 4 or whatever it is, right? But the problem is, because you haven't been successful in the first half of the season, you're now in the bottom half. And the bottom half is where everybody's panicking. where everybody's struggling, where everybody's trying to find form, where everybody's trying to wonder, we've got to make desperate buys here just to save our season. Managers' jobs are on the block. Players are being questioned. Fans are being pulled in different directions. Toxic atmospheres, all this kind of stuff because of the way the club has been run and also how the first half of the season has gone. This is where we're at with West Ham. This is where we're at with Forest. This is where we're at with Spurs. This is where we're at with Leeds to a lesser degree because Leeds have got great home form, right? And I actually really rate Leeds as well. So if you're a Leeds fan, honey, listen, yeah, you're welcome because I do rate you. I do. Palace in a bit of free fall right now. Bournemouth have been sucked into it a little bit because of the players that you let go, especially Semenya, to Man City in January, and that's caused them to have a little bit of a dip as well. So, we're in this position for a reason. We're in the position that we're in for a reason. And in order for us to get out of this, to get consistently winning or consistently getting points in draws, there has to be a change in the way Nuno does, and it has to be a permanent change. I still say this, and I know it's negative, and I know I don't want to be negative because I'm naturally a positive person, naturally a happy person, right? I don't have faith in Nuno to give us that positivity, to give us that belief. Because time and time again, he reverts to a defensive posture. Time and time again, he sets up defensively when we just don't need to. Time and time again, as I've said in a previous show, in a previous live show, in a previous live stream or whatever, I remember I always go back to the my old headmaster when I was at primary school, right? He would take us PE, take us for school football matches, all that kind of stuff, and we'd score a goal. And his immediate thing was to say, "It's always stuck with me, And maybe that's why I'm always I'm more offensive than defensive. I'm more of a balanced type of play, right? Really, you got to have one with the other, right? But definitely always got to take it to the opposition. And it stuck with me because he'd always say, "Let's get another. Let's get another." We scored a goal, let's get another. We could be 5 or 6-0 up, let's get another. He was doing it in practices, he was doing it in PE lessons, he was doing it in school matches. He'd always say the same thing. It was a mantra. It was getting drilled into your head. Let's get another. Let's try and get another. So we don't have that at West Ham at all. And the problem, if you take the Bournemouth game, well, that lack of that attitude caused Bournemouth to come back into the game, right? When you're talking the likes of the points that we've dropped or the games that we've lost, second half performances, all that kind of stuff that have let us down, it's because of this. It's because of taking the pressure off, or releasing the boot off the opposition's throat, as it were, right? Taking the pressure off them, inviting them to come onto us sitting deep, inviting pressure on. We can't contain it because our defence and defensive midfield isn't good enough to contain that and contain that kind of pressure. And therefore, it's just the law of averages. It's just going to be, they're going to take a certain amount of shots, they're going to get in a certain amount of positions, and the chances are, with the quality that they've got, they're going to be able to get into it. And if you think that that's changed just because we got a few results in the last few games, or good, decent performances in the last few games, think again, because we lost against Chelsea for this very reason. We conceded against Man United because they just did not give up. They brought on players who had good intent as well, and they just did not give up. We should have won that game. We should have held on. We should have won. Granted, referees' decisions. Granted, find an extra 7 minutes of added time when everybody's wondering where the hell is that. 2 good performances, don't get me wrong, but ultimately we came out of a 6-point winning situation to a 1-point winning situation. And that is down to tactics, substitutions, and having that intent to going forward. I'm not saying it's all on Nuno, but I'm saying the majority of this is on Nuno, right? You can say this when you take the likes of going away to Burton Albion in the FA Cup and you set up with effectively 5 at the back, three at the centre back, and you're like going, what are you playing at, man? What are you doing? What are you doing? You should be putting the opposition to the sword straight away. You should be starting with your best 11 and then take those players off if you're doing really, really well. If you're winning by 3 or 4-0. Then take those players off and put in backfill with your second tier players, your subs, your squad players. But that's what you should be starting with. And he just doesn't do it. And this is why I still stand by this. Whilst I want to be positive, whilst I want to tell you, we've got to support the team. You've got to support the manager. We've got to support the players and give raise the atmosphere in London Stadium, which we have been doing the last few games, right? All this is great. But we can only do our part, but they've got to do it. They've got to do it, and they've got to do it for 90 minutes. And we can only do it to a certain degree. Let's get back into the comments here. I suspect James could be manager in not distant future. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he goes, actually. It'd be interesting to see. The thing about that, before I get into the thing about that is, sometimes people are great number 2s. They're not great number 1s. And you can see that in all walks of life. Some people are great at being number 2s and being that supporting role, but ultimately they're not great at leading the way. And it could be that, James and Nuno, the partnership makes it a better management structure, really. Paco for James, James for Nuno could make Nuno better, right? But James in the lead role, don't know. Whether he just moves on to a team of his own, who knows, Drainhold Hammers, we need to be on the front foot to win games, go out for the win. Yeah, we have a better chance scoring than keeping a clean sheet. 100%. I think the problem is, you're never going to win games if you don't score, right? You're never going to win. And you can only hope to draw games. And so too many times, Nuno has pulled the trigger too early into set up defensively into closing up games. That's the problem. Look, if you look at the fixtures, there are points to be had, no doubt. And if we're all fit and if we're playing well, there's definitely points to be got there. And if we can get points with some of those teams, where we not expected to get points, the Liverpools, Arsenals, Newcastles, but we don't drop points where we really should be trying to get points from, then we got a great chance of staying getting out of this. But it will be a lucky escape. It won't be a great escape. I don't care what anybody says. It will be a lucky escape because we got ourselves in a situation which we didn't need to be in. Obsidian, did Nuno choose Paco or the club? Do you know what? I actually don't know. That's a very good question. I don't know. I would imagine it has to be a Nuno approved appointment. Otherwise it wouldn't be able to work with each other. I would imagine. I don't know. And we've all heard the stories, of course, all rumours, that none of his backroom staff, Nuno, wanted to come with him to West Ham. We're all thinking, why hasn't the club gone after his coaching staff from Forest? And then the other rumour, it transpires that nobody wanted to come with him. They don't like him. They don't like the way they've all fallen out with him, which kind of makes sense. You kind of think, well, why haven't you brought your whole staff with you? Why didn't you do that? What's happened? Why have you all dispersed and everything like that? I wonder, behind the smiles, behind the quiet voice, behind the scenes, what is it really like to be with Nuno? You could look at some of the players and you can say, and this is for all teams and all players and all managers, right? Some players thrive under a particular manager, under a particular system. Others do not. Others really, really struggle, right? I think we can all agree that Somerville under Nuno has thrived. He has gained in confidence. He's scoring goals. He's our most important player. He's thrived. I think Mavropanos and Todibo have thrived under Nuno. I think Areola has thrived under Nuno. Albeit what's happened the last couple of games, I do not know in terms of the league. I think Bowen hasn't thrived under Nuno. I think he's taken a long, long time to get his form back. He's always been trying because he's the captain, but it's taken a long time. It's only the last few games that he's getting back in there. Fernandez has definitely been our outstanding player. So we've had a few successes under Nuno. It hasn't been a total disaster. But I think those successes, dare I say it, have been in spite of what Nuno has tried to do with West Ham. No, that's probably harsh. I apologise, Nuno. It's not about that in particular. I think some players have just taken it upon themselves and they've realised that actually I can make a name for myself here. I can have some success in here. And if you're talking about Nuno and his tactics and in-game tactics and pre-game tactics, in some games you could see where it kind of makes sense. In other games, you see this is completely wrong. And for me, most of this is down to timing. When he makes these substitutions, when he makes these tactical changes, that's the problem for me. It's all about timing. If you're doing it the last 5 minutes of the game, fine. The problem I've had is specifically with Nuno in games, and I can't remember specifically which one, but in games there have been situations where we are drawing or where we are losing by a goal, and then he adopts whatever it is. He makes substitutions to go defensive, where we're still chasing the game. You think this is wrong. This is counterintuitive. We should be chasing after a game, not trying to minimise a defeat. This is what we should be doing. They all started thriving after a few dodgy moments. Yeah. They definitely have. They definitely have, and it has been a very rocky road there. But the rocky road, we're still in it. That's the point I was trying to make. We're still in it, and the whole reason for this whole live show is, and can we keep on winning to get us out of this mess that have been put in here? We've been put in here by successive bad performances, bad results, bad tactics, so on and so forth. The question is, do we trust in Nuno? In Nuno we trust. Do we? To the end of the season. Because he's the one who's going to be giving out the directives, right? He's the one. Ultimately, regardless of who his number two is, what his preference is, ultimately it's Nuno's decision to decide where we go and what we do. And ultimately it's down to the players to see what kind of performance that they can deliver on a given day. And then, it's about consistency. But look, we've got Bournemouth this coming weekend. Let's see how we do. Let's see how we do. And if we can keep them at bay, I think possibly, in the face of it, as we showed in the first, as we've showed, we have better players than them. But the question is, can we sustain that and can we keep them away in the second half? But anyway, listen, we could go on and on about this. If we succeed, if we get out of this, fantastic. Would I like to see a Nuno change? Yes, because even though we succeeded, we've succeeded in not being relegated. That is not a success. That is purely just by the skin of our teeth, but in a negative style of football. If we'd survived by the skin of our teeth, by trying to play good football, I would say stick with the manager. Stick with him, because you don't know, he could come good. But sticking with a manager who's always going to be that defensive, always going to be frustrating, we're always going to be questioning, then I'm not sure that's the right man for us. But, you know, it's up to you. It's up to you. As you say, you know, managers and players need pre-seasons. The board have messed up with 2 windows. Yep, they have. That's right. He does need pre-season. I agree. Again, it's not a no thing entirely, is it? Because we know we're complete shit show. We're a circus behind the scenes. We know the ownership is difficult. So who knows? Listen, Bournemouth on to the next game. Let me know what your thoughts in the comments below. And obviously you got Champions League and Europa League and Conference League action this week. I think who is it? We're playing on Wednesday. Oh, Premier League, Wolves at home to Arsenal. So let's just see if Arsenal pick up points there, win, and extend the lead at the top of the table, which is they are 4 points clear right now from Man City. And Villa in third, Man United fourth, you know. Yeah, let's just see how things transpire. But for us, it's all about Bournemouth this weekend. I will be there. I will be holding the players to account. If you see me, come and say hello. More than happy to say hello. If not, I'll just be walking around idly, waiting to meet up with people I'm supposed to be meeting up, and then I keep on missing them because I'm usually late or I get sidetracked by different things as well. So usually if I'm walking around kind of going like this, that's because I'm usually late or waiting for somebody who I should be meeting and all that kind of good stuff. Anyway, so I used to always go with my lad. Of course, he doesn't come anymore because he's living elsewhere, and I used to meet up with friends, and you know, so the last year it's all kind of changed for me. So but there we go, that's life, is it? But still go to the games, still trying representing Billy Bonslower, and trying to hold the players to account. If you do go to the games and you are a season ticket holder, are you thinking about renewing, or are you waiting to see if we get relegated, or does that not even matter to you? But the one thing I wanted to ask as well is, are you going to try and stay in your current position, your seat, or are you going to try and move? I tried to do it last season, move, because I wanted just to be a little bit more central, a little bit elevated more to get a better view. Couldn't move. They wouldn't let me move. But this season, it's only me, so I'm hoping that they should let me move, but we'll see. But I will be trying to renew for next season as well, yeah. But I want to see how much they want to charge me, the bastards, as well. Right, and with that, enough of that. Go and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being part of this. I think I've got the schedule bit now, right? So I can schedule these shows hours in advance. So you got lots of time to come on. I will try and do more evening shows, live shows, or late night live shows, so anybody can come on and you're not working and stuff like that. I appreciate that. During the day, most people are working, right? But anyway, listen, thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate your support. Whatever you do, I'm never going to ask people for views and subs, and I discovered this thing the other day, the old super chats and super thanks. If people want to do that, I fully appreciate it, and it's fantastic, and it keeps the whole show going, as it were. But all you have to do is just keep on watching, and if you want to keep on watching, that's great, and enjoy. And all I can say is up the